Hey, everybody, welcome to CCA in Action, which is our new podcast series where we are going to be hearing stories from real CCA clinicians on cases they've worked to support our members. And today we are talking with Seth Swoope, one of the EAP counselors here at CCA. So, hey, Seth, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful Thursday. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. So, why don't we dive right in and tell us about this case that you worked and how it all turned out?
So this call started on, a typical day. I get a phone call and the member says, "Hey, please don't dismiss me." That's the first thing they say. So I open with just being empathetic, allowing them to vent, talk, discuss. As they're talking and describing this, I've already sent a message to my supervisor, and the supervisor was already aware of it. After about 5 minutes go by, I'm able to collect some information to contact the member, and we start to dive into it. And the reason they were being so reluctant to talk to me and give information was because they thought technology, the AI processing, anything labeled AI, was possessed by an entity. Now, they use the term like a demonic possession,
Hmm.
but they were under the belief that them talking was being recorded. So they didn't wanna share any information because they thought if they shared their name, their location, their date of birth, something would come get them. So we're already dealing with high levels of delusion. Um, so what we ended up doing was we assessed. I was able to get an address from the member, letting them know that the phone call, all of this is to a person. I had to verify that I was a human being because they actually thought I was, not human. They were not sure I was human at
Oh,
first.
wow. Yeah.
Mhm. So it was setting up everything to make the member feel safe. That was priority. Once the safety was established and the members started to open up more, this was about 20 minutes into the call. I was talking with my supervisor. We were planning while we were talking. Throughout this entire process, the supervisor worked with me, walked me through, assess for this, make sure we're checking for this. The member actually reported no risk. But here's where it got tricky. They were saying they don't think they'll be here in a week because they think something's going to happen to them or someone's gonna come get them. And they had no plans or anything like that. But it was suicidal ideation because they were saying that they were going to do something to themselves. They were not telling me what, but they were saying AI was going to take control of their brain, like hack the brain, and have them do things to themselves and others.
Mm,
So
okay.
now we're going into safety concerns. So it's still the delusion and the safety concerns. So the member, they lived with their family. They had an older mother that lived with them. So they were like a caretaker slash full-time employee. And what ended up happening was they did not want to go to the hospital. They didn't want to drive. They didn't want to leave their apartment because they didn't feel safe leaving.
Okay.
As the member went in that to make a safety plan, we actually went over what AI is. So AI, and I explained this to them in order to validate their beliefs because they thought they were being courted. So validating their emotions, making them feel heard and seen. So this was done with the help of, again, my supervisors, because we were talking about how to validate this without the member getting stuck in that loop of, I'm going to be possessed.
Mm.
So validating the superstitions while also getting them the treatment they need to establish safety. So once they felt comfortable, they actually admitted, maybe this is me being anxious, me being delusional. And they were saying the way we did this was, have you checked for mental health? And they had not checked for mental health. They have not seen any mental health evaluators. So the way we broke this down was like this. I was like, why don't we get you checked out and assessed? And that way, if it's not mental health, we can rule it out. And this is where the validation comes from. And if that's ruled out, then you can get the systems checked through a tech engineer. So let's first rule out mental health and see what happens. And if nothing's checking for mental health, we'll go to tech support. The member agreed to this, but they still were not wanting to leave the home and go to the ER. So we ended up having to do is call the ambulance
Mm.
and get her. And she actually agreed to this. So that way she could talk to someone in person. So she wouldn't be recorded with this.
Ah.
I actually never got her first name or her last name. I was able to get her address, her phone number, and then this is where we contacted CCT. CCT is a complex consulting team. They're a team that we have access to as EAP therapists to contact in cases where it's complex. So if we have a complex case of suicidality, suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, substance use, anything where it's putting the member at risk or someone else at risk, we contact CCT. And this is where it gets really good for the client. CCT followed up with the member within 2 hours, verified they were getting mental health treatment, verified they were in the hospital, and verified they were safe. And I was communicated to that the member was being taken care of, looked after, and that they were being assessed. Not only that, after CCT ensured safety, we then have a team called Provider Relations. They then started the search to find the member an inpatient treatment facility.
Mm.
After CCT ensured they were getting stabilization care, the Provider Relations team then reached out and sent them resources for inpatient care. We even managed to connect them to an inpatient that takes their insurance.
What I love about everything you just said there, a couple pieces. One, as clinicians, I love the idea of validating them instead of trying to push back on a belief that we might not believe, but it is their world, their reality, and we need to navigate within that to get them to buy into trusting us. So I'd love to hear that that's the approach you took, and then the follow up so quickly after. I mean, not only does it allow us to stay connected to them, but it shows them we're in it with them. We're here. And then inpatient, I mean, we don't deliver inpatient services. We're an EAP, but we're still finding those higher levels of care for people because we know that's the right thing to do. So I respect so much what you do, Seth. So great work, and thanks for sharing your story today.
Yeah, it was really nice getting to know you.